These are the tools that we use to do the job. We got a 1/2-inch ratchet, 17mm socket, a 14mm socket, a 12mm socket, a little extension for our ratchet, 1/4-inch drive, 10mm wrench, and 19mm impact for the lug nuts. So, pretty simple job. Let's get to it. We're gonna jack it up. Oh, we're actually gonna just touch it. We're gonna loosen all these bolts first before we get it off the ground. Lift it. What year is this car?
2009.
Okay. 2009 Honda Accord. Changing the brake caliper. You have even tread wear on all your tires. That's good. If one side of the tire is like super worn and the other side's not, that means you have some sort of suspension problem. But from what I can see, it's pretty good. Sweet. All right. Let's see. This is the caliper. The shop told them it's leaking. It's a little wet inside there. A little bit of moisture. It's not like leaking as in complete failure, but eventually it could be. So first we're gonna remove that bolt and that bolt, and we got to get our drip pan, and then there's a bracket bolts back here. One on the bottom. You see that moisture again on the bottom, and one, I don't know if you can see this. I think that's the other one right there. We're about to find out. It's a 14mm socket for these caliper bolts right here. Not the bracket, but the ones that hold the caliper to the bracket. Okay. Now I got this e-brake cable, and there's a little bolt. I'll bring that in here. See that bolt right there? That holds the e-brake cable to this whole unit. So we need to loosen that bolt so we can disconnect the e-brake cable. That's right here, that connection. The only way to disconnect that is to loosen that bolt. $12mm socket. Don't have to punch yourself in the face either. Now that that's loose, it should just come right off of there. I'll put that aside. Now we're going to take off the bracket. These are the pads. We got new pads. You always want to get new pads when you do something like this. Okay, let's see what size that is. That is a 17 millimeter. Okay. We gotta get the bigger tools. You can pause that. Okay. So those were a struggle, so we had to get out the breaker bar and loosen them first. Now we're good to go. Little bolt's kind of in the way on the upper one of the ratchet. Put a little extender on. Typically what I do is I'll leave this brake caliper over here. Most of the time you zip tie it or tie it up, but it kind of just sits here just right. So. And then we'll put the bracket on and the new caliper before we take this bolt off. That's going to drain the fluid out of the system. So we don't want to take that bolt off and let all the fluid drain out while we're working on it. So we'll just have the new one ready, take that bolt off and the hose, swap it directly to the new one real quick, and then bleed the system. bracket. Did they give you? Did they have a core charge on this caliper?
Yeah, I think it was like 75 or something.
For a core charge?
I think so.
This is where the brake grease goes when you're changing the pads. But considering we have a new bracket for our new caliper, I took it out just to make sure it was greased properly. So that goes back in, just slips over that little boot. With it, if it's not greased properly and these don't move the way they're supposed to, then the caliper gets frozen up because the caliper slides as your brakes work. These move. This gets mounted to there, like so. We're gonna hook this first and then turn it down. See that? Go. Okay. Just gonna rest this here for a minute because we gotta put the pads on. The pads come with new brackets, and the caliper comes with new brackets. So I shouldn't have put this on yet, but I did. I'm gonna tuck it in right here where it can't really fall over. I'll put these pins in place. Clips, not pins. Whoop. Pause that. There we go. One. Two. Missing a brake pad?
No, it's in front of you.
Oh. Okay. Alright. Brake pad with the little squealer clip goes on the inside. These are import direct. These are really good brake pads. And you can see the part number on there. Oh, the struggle is real. There we go. Bada bing, bada boom. New caliper on. This is supposed to be up and down because it slides over this little knob right here. We got fancy new bolts. Okay. A nice coated caliper too, won't rust. Okay. So if you buy a new caliper, this bolt gets sealed by these little copper washers or copper gaskets, I guess. There's a one side that's more flat than the other. If you look at them, I don't know if you can see it in the video, but if you look at them real close, one side's flatter than the other. And you want the flat side to go on the flat part of the bolt. I mean, on the to make that seal right there. So let's put these here. This is the unit that's coming off, the hose that's coming off. Looks like a 12. Sure is. This is why we got the pan underneath. We're gonna have a little leakage. Caliper, old bolt. Let's take a look at these. It's like a crush washer. Once you tighten it, it squishes in place. But the flat part should be on the flat part of this. So we'll put one in. Oop, hold it there a little bit. Flat part. You see this brake line has a little guide. The guide goes in that hole. Now we're ready to tighten it up. Considering they're crush washers, you wanna, I'm sure there's a torque setting, but you don't really need it. But you don't want to over tighten it, just enough. Now that we have the new brake caliper on the car, we need to bleed it. But before bleeding the brake caliper, you want to top off the brake fluid. And we're going to put more than we really want, but we're going to suck it out on the other side. Should go around and bleed them all, starting with the furthest one from the rear. We're going to bleed this one, and then we're going to go to the furthest one from the rear and bleed from the front. We're going to bleed that rear one over there, then we'll bleed this one again. That right there for now. 10 mil on the bleeder. Some bleeders might actually be a different size, and you'll see that as you go. So we're gonna just crack it open. And the other end of this is actually hooked up to a vacuum, so let's see. Not working. We're gonna bleed it the old school way here because our bleeder is broken. You got pressure?
Yep.
Okay, let's open it up, get the air out of this thing. Okay, go for it.
Keep going.
You're on the floor?
No.
Alright, pump it up again.
Stiff.
Okay, ready? Go to the floor. You'll feel it drop when I open it.
Yep.
There we go. You're still going down?
All the way down as far as I can go.
Okay. You can see this air coming out of this. You're pumping again?
Now I pump.
Yep. We're going to do that a few times.
Okay. Stiff.
Stiff? Okay, I'm opening. Yeah, you can still see some of those air. You're on the floor again?
Yep.
Okay, pump it up.
Stiff.
Okay, ready?
Yep.
Okay, do it again. I don't see any air bubbles anymore, but we'll do it a few more times.
Stiff.
Okay.
And down.
All right, stiffen it up again. As you can see, we kept getting air bubbles coming out, and now we're getting a solid stream, which is a good sign. We want to make sure that we have fluid in the brake fluid reservoir before we run out. Brake fluid reservoir. Let's see. Where is our fluid level? Looks like our fluid level is here. And on this side, the maximum line right there. So we're gonna put more in now and pump it up and bleed it a little bit more. Let's do it 2 more times. Make sure there's no air in there. Then we'll go to the other side. Okay, you're stiff on top. Ready? Down. Okay, pump it up again. Good?
Yep.
All right, opening. Oh, a little bit of air came out on that one. I can see it. Okay, let's do it again. Pump it up.
Stiff.
Okay, opening. You're on the floor?
Yep.
I think we're good. Okay, brakes are bled. I want to make sure this little cap goes back on there. That keeps the bleeder end nice and clean from corrosion. Now we'll move all our stuff out of the way and put the tire back on, and that job is done.